Hello, dear primary 4 students. In part 2 of our last lesson of devices and energy concept. In this part, we will start shared activities to share all the information that we have learned in this concept about energy sources and energy transformations in different devices. النهارده هنبدأ نشارك اللي اتعلمناه عن الطاقة ومصادرها وتحولات الطاقة في الأجهزة المختلفة. Get your science book and notebook in which you are going to record all your observations and evidence during learning the concept and be ready to start our lesson. In our last lessons, we have learned that the sun is the main source of energy on Earth. We have tracked different energy chains and learned how energy transforms in devices we use in our daily life. في الدروس اللي فاتت لما اتعلمنا ان الشمس هي مصدر الطاقة الرئيسي قدرنا نستكشف سلاسل الطاقة المختلفة بتاعت أجهزة كتير بنستخدمها. We have also learned that we do not make use of all the energy outputs because some of energy is lost and transformed to forms other than the ones we want from the devices. Like the sound energy that goes out of the hair dryer, we also designed models for energy input and outputs and flow of energy for different devices. We have also learned that energy is neither created nor destroyed, but it can change from one form to another, and this is called the law of conservation of energy. اتعلمنا قبل كده حاجات مهمة جدا منها قانون بقاء الطاقة، وكان معناه ايه؟ كان معناه ان الطاقة لا تفنى ولا تستحدث من العدم، لكن يمكن تحويلها من صورة لأخرى. وعشان نتأكد من قانون بقاء الطاقة طبقناه على أجهزة كتير وشفنا ال input and output energy. Now, it's time to apply what we have learned during the concept to explain the investigative phenomena. فاكرين ال investigative phenomena؟ دلوقتي هنبتدي نفسرها in a scientific way and answer the questions we have thought about and written in wonder on page 7. We will do that in activity 10, record evidence like a scientist. Activity 10 is titled Energy in Remote Control Toy Cars. فاكرين السيارات اللعبة اللي بنتحكم فيها عن بعد؟ اتكلمنا عنها لما اتكلمنا عن الظاهرة الرئيسة وشفنا ازاي بتشتغل، ودلوقتي هنبدأ نجاوب أسئلة كتير قوي كنا كتبناها. Look carefully at this picture. Do you see that? It's the remote controlled toy car that we started the concept with. We need to think carefully about this type of device. What energy does it use? Where is its source of energy? And how does the device use this energy? Of course, we thought about all of these questions when we started this concept, but at that time, we didn't have lots of information about energy and its transformation in devices. فاكرين لما سألنا نفسنا قبل كده قبل ما نبدأ نتعلم أي حاجة عن الطاقة وقلنا إن العربية دي هتجيب طاقة منين؟ ويا ترى الطاقة دي هيحصل لها إيه جوه العربية؟ I guess now we can use all the information and pieces of evidence we collected to think and answer these questions. Open your science book on page 22, think and write your answers. When my students thought about these questions, I asked Omar, one of my students, to share his answer with his friends. He said, remote control cars store energy in its battery. فاكرين لما قلنا إن العربيات دي ما بتشتغلش إلا لو حطينا فيها battery? And when we press on the remote control button, the stored energy is converted from chemical energy to kinetic energy. And when I asked him how his explanation differed from the first one, he said he didn't know in his previous explanation that the energy in the battery has to go through different energy transformations, like from chemical to electrical, till it appears on the final energy output that we easily identify in the car movement and in the sound that it makes, or in the lights that we see. He can easily now draw or explain the energy chain of that type of cars. لو أخدتوا بالكم هتلاقوا عمر ركز في إجابته على إن العربية والريموت بيحتاجوا بطاريات عشان يشتغلوا، فبالتالي الطاقة الكيميائية هي الانبوت انرجي، وبعد كده هتتحول لطاقة حركة وصوت وضوء، وهيبقوا دول الاوتبوت انرجي. وما تنسوش ان المرة دي تفسيره اختلف لان هو عرف ان هيحصل ترانسفورميشنز في النص مش واضحة في التشين، زي ان الكيميكال انرجي لازم تبقى الكتريك انرجي وبعدين تتحول لطاقة حركة وضوء وصوت. Now you are ready for the next step in our lesson, which is writing a scientific explanation to can you explain questions. Let's do that together on the screen. Okay, just to remind you that can you explain question is. تعالوا نشوف can you explain السؤال كان اسمه ايه اصلا. What kinds of energy transfer must occur for light from the sun to power a cell phone or a mobile? طيب. What you need is to collect all the ideas you have learned in the concept because they will help you answer this question in a scientific way. To start, you need to write the claim, which is one sentence that answers that question. Of course, the answer shouldn't start with yes or no. لو انتوا فاكرين الكليم كان يعني الافتراض، وده دايما بيكون جملة واحدة تجاوب على سؤالنا، وما ينفعش تكون نعم أو لا، لازم يكون جملة. Now, get back to your book, page 23, to record your claims. When my students shared their claims, I saw that the most important claim was energy changes from one form to another. من أكتر الفروض اللي عجبتني إن الطاقة تتحول من صورة لأخرى. Of course, there are many claims that you have written. This is just an example of one of the correct claims. Now, we need to move to the next step. طب فاكرين ايه هي الخطوة الجاية؟ الخطوة الجاية ان احنا to record our evidence and the reasoning that supports the claim. Start recording your evidence and the reasoning on page 24 of your student book. أهم حاجة وانتوا بتكتبوا الدليل تشرحوه كويس. يلا ابدأ. Let's see the evidence and reasoning that my student Hamza has written. He thought about collecting the evidence that supports energy transformation from one form to another in devices. He wrote in the first evidence, the devices we use in our daily life need different energy transformations to operate, and energy can transfer from one form to another. And in the second evidence, he recorded the electric lamp gets electric energy and converts into light energy and thermal energy. And the chemical energy in the battery is converted into electrical energy to power the remote-controlled car. If you examined carefully the evidence that Hamza provided, you would find that they prove the claim that he wrote. هو في الافتراض كان بيتكلم على تحولات الطاقة في الأجهزة، وفعلا في الدلائل اللي كتبها كانت مرتبطة بفكرته شرح تحولات الطاقة في المصباح الكهربائي كدليل على إجابته. طب هو جاب الأدلة دي منين؟ He collected those pieces of evidence from the different activities and texts that we have studied together. Now, it's time to provide the reasoning that supports our claim. In other words, we need to explain why we think our evidence is correct. Imagine as if you are defending your opinion and explaining why you are sure about it. That's what we mean by reasoning. تفتكروا حمزة شرح ايه سبب اختياره للأدلة دي ازاي؟ Hamza explained his reasoning about the evidence he wrote by writing that the sun is the main source of energy. The energy from the sun changes into other forms until it reaches different devices. Sun energy changes to chemical energy in coal, which changes to electrical energy in power plant, and electrical energy changes to light energy in the light bulb. حمزة شرحه كان هايل لأنه رجع لمعلومة مهمة جدا إن الشمس مصدر الطاقة الرئيسي. بس أنا عاوزة أفكره بحاجة. I also want to remind him with something, which is Hamza can add that observing the energy input and output of different devices proves that energy transforms from one form into another. Also, what we learned about energy chains proves that the energy starts from the main source, which is the sun, and then converts into different forms till the device is operated. Now, we are ready to write the scientific explanation for the type of energy transfer that occur for the sunlight from the sun to power a cell phone. جاهزين تكتبوا التفسير العلمي عن أنواع انتقال الطاقة اللي هتحصل للضوء الشمس عشان تشغل الموبايل؟ وما تنسوش تستخدموا سلاسل تحولات الطاقة المرة دي وانتوا بتكتبوا. Of course, after you all got how to draw models for energy chains, that questions became really easy and clear for you. So I want you to open your book on page 25 and record your scientific explanation. Do not forget to talk about how the sun is the main source of the different types of energy. And remember to record the transformations that happen to the sun's energy to power the devices that we have, including the cell phone. ما تنسوش توضحوا في تفسيركم إن الشمس مصدر الطاقة الرئيسي. I'm sure our scientific explanations will be different, and this is normal. But of course, all of us will use some common key vocabulary in our explanation. Thus, I'll share with you some points and I want you to check that they are included in your explanation or add the examples you mentioned. Follow me, get your pen and highlight how many points you got in your answer. هتمسك قلمك وتعلم على النقط اللي هقولها لو انت كتبتها في تفسيرك. أول نقطة, the sun is the main source of energy. تاني نقطة, energy can transform from one form to another. وآخر وأهم نقطة, energy transformations happen inside devices. Energy input, energy output, and flow of energy. من أهم النقط اللي لازم تبقوا عارفينها إن في سلاسل الطاقة بنركز على الانرجي input والانرجي output, الطاقة اللي هتخش والطاقة اللي هتخرج. As we explained the energy chain in the hair dryer and the process of food digestion, you can also support your scientific explanation and explain the energy chain to the power the cell phone. تعالوا بينا نكمل. Now, after all we have learned about energy and its transformations in devices, get ready to start an activity in which we will apply everything we have learned and solve real-life problems. I can hear some of you say that this is STEM in action. Yes, this is STEM in action activity time. That's right. We will think like energy scientists and design solutions to the problems and challenges facing engineers as they use energy in different fields. دلوقتي هنفكر زي علماء الطاقة وهنصمم حلول للمشكلات اللي بتواجه المهندسين وهم بيستخدموا الطاقة. This will be in activity 11, analyze like a scientist. The title of this activity is Careers and Energy in Systems, الوظائف والطاقة في الأنظمة. This is a digital activity. You can have it on your science textbook. We will start by reading the text titled Careers and Energy in Systems. I want you to observe and underline all the information that might be related to energy and careers and the relation to systems. Me too, I'll move to our science textbook and start reading and analyzing with you. Let me start. بأكد عليكم مطلوب مننا نخطط على كل المعلومات المتعلقة بالطاقة والوظائف. يلا ابدأوا. Could you identify the careers connected to energy? Yep. The first job is ecologists. وظيفة علماء البيئة ecologists, okay? Ecologists follow the flow of energy in food webs in the ecosystems. What do you think this means? It means they study how energy transfers from one organism to another in the form of food. This happens in all types of ecosystems, whether in the bottom of the ocean or the Arctic. دي المعلومات اللي احنا جبناها من النص. طب تعالوا نفهم يعني ايه المعلومات دي. علماء البيئة بيدرسوا ازاي الطاقة بتتنقل من كائن لكائن آخر، وأكيد هتتنقل ازاي؟ عن طريق الغذاء أو في صورة غذاء. Let's think about what's meant by flow of energy between living organisms. It happens through food. Let's, for example, start with the sun. The sun helps the green plants to produce their own food. What happens next is that another living organism feeds on the plant. After that, a predator feeds on this organism. Predator يعني حيوان شرس أو مفترس. On every stage of these, there is a transfer of energy between the organisms while feeding on each other. At the end, the organisms died and buried under the ground. After that, they decompose and all energy gets back to the soil. بدايتنا دايما في سلسلة الطاقة بتبقى الشمس. الشمس هتدي طاقة ضوئية للنباتات، وبعد كده هيجي كائن حي ياكل النبات، وبعدين كائن مفترس هياكل الكائن ده، وهنفضل كده لحد ما يموت الكائن الحي وهيتدفن ويتحلل وكل الطاقة ترجع للتربة. Some of the other jobs are engineers. Engineers must have a clear understanding of energy transformations from one form to another, as this will surely make a difference while they design any device, like a cell phone or a computer. This understanding, for example, will help them to determine how the screen will get energy to light up, or even for the device to make sounds. فهم المهندس لتحولات الطاقة هيساعده هو بيصمم الأجهزة المختلفة، بالذات إنه يقدر يعرف مصدر الطاقة اللي هيستخدمها. ده كده في فرق كبير جدا ما بين علماء البيئة والمهندسين، الاتنين بيفكروا بطريقة مختلفة تماما. Of course, when we think about engineers and ecologists, we need to consider how they would face situations where they have to think differently and being creative. That's why entrepreneurial skill is important for all jobs related to energy and its uses. اختلاف طريقة تفكيرهم وإبداعهم يعتبر مهارة ريادة الأعمال، واللي بتكون أساسية لكل المهن المتعلقة بالطاقة واستخداماتها. طب السؤال دلوقتي إيه؟ Do you think there are other jobs that need us to understand energy and its transformations? ها إيه رأيكم؟ While applying the skills of entrepreneurs to identify and understand problems and reach creative solutions, think carefully and record your answer in your notebook. Of course, we all thought of many jobs around us that could be related to energy, like ecologists, engineers, mechanics, dietitians, and many other jobs. And what I could love you do is to discuss with each other to think of more jobs. أظن المهن اللي فكرتوا فيها هي علماء البيئة، المهندسين، الميكانيكيين، وأخصائي التغذية. Or I want you to use your skills to search on the internet and the Egyptian Knowledge Bank as you learned in the careers and ICT subjects. Now, The last thing we will do is to evaluate our understanding of energy inputs and outputs using an example, which is the cell phone. عشان نقيم فهمنا عن مدخلات ومخرجات الطاقة, I want you to observe the key vocabulary here: electrical energy, chemical energy, sound, light, and heat. We will use them while we are filling our question on page 25. هتلاقوا سؤال في صفحة 25 عايزاكم تعملوا فيه table. التيبل ده هتعملوا فيه 2 columns. column مكتوب فيه input energy والcolumn التاني مكتوب فيه output energy. تعالوا نفكر مع بعض. Since the energy getting into the cell phone represents electrical energy, we will put the electrical energy word in the right column of the input energy. And the phone battery represents chemical energy, and also it's considered one of the energy inputs. فبرضو هنحطها في الكولوم بتاع energy inputs. Therefore, we will put the chemical energy in the input column. بطارية الموبايل بتتشحن بالطاقة الكهربائية عشان نقدر نشغله. عشان كده قلنا إن chemical energy and electrical energy are the input energy. يعني الانرجي used. How about the outputs? Electrical energy transforms to chemical energy inside the battery. Then what comes out is light energy that make the phone light up and sound energy when the phone rings. So we will put sound and light in the outputs. That remind me of a situation that I once had when I bought a new cell phone. It has a problem. عارفين كانت ايه العيب؟ العيب اللي أنا اكتشفته. The phone took a lot of time to charge and the battery loses energy very quickly. When I went back to the company, the engineer said that this is a real problem and he will need time to solve it. But how do you think he can solve this problem? Someone would say, for example, I need to change the battery, or ask them to try new battery first to be sure that there is no problem in this mobile. If you have other solutions, write your answers in your science textbook notes. Since we have recorded all the evidence that we have collected while learning about energy, it's time to evaluate the concepts we have learned and how they relate to each other. This will be in activity 12. Let's go and start it. Activity 12, Evaluate Like a Scientist, is entitled Review Devices and Energy, which is a digital activity. You will find it in the science textbook, and I want you to go back again to all the information we have learned about energy, its forms and transformations inside the devices. Write the main ideas about it, and do not forget to say how the energy we get from the sun is the main source of energy that power any device. في النشاط ده عاوزاكم تكتبوا في نقط محددة كل المعلومات اللي عرفتوها عن الطاقة وتحولاتها وإن الشمس هي المصدر الرئيسي للطاقة. Here we came to the end of the first concept, devices and energy. I want you to go back to our science textbook and answer the concept check questions. هتلاقوا أسئلة في النسخة الرقمية عايزاكم تجربوا تحلوها وتقيموا نفسكم. And I'd like you to share your answers and questions with us. Until we start our new concept, I want you to get ready and research a very important key vocabulary. That will be the title of the new concept. Fuels. Collect information about what is fuels. What are the types of fuels? What is the source of the fuels that we use in our daily lives? ما تنسوش تجهزوا للمفهوم اللي جاي وتبحثوا عن الوقود وأنواع واستخداماته. Thanks to all the scientists who joined us today. See you next time.